everyone. We have reached the final panel of the day, so discussion panel. We have with us very distinguished colleagues from several fields to discuss the pathways for sustainability in the verge of digital transformation. So we have with us Dr. Marinos Ioannidis, which is the director of the Digital Heritage Research Lab at Cyprus University of Technology in Limassol, and is the UNESCO Chair on Digital Cultural Heritage. So Dr. Marinos, thank you very much for being with us. We have engineer Francisco Taboada, which has been long advisor in electrical energy systems and is now the president of the Administration Council of Empresa Eletricidade da Madeira, which is the regional electricity utility. Engineer, thank you very much also for being with us. We have also Dr. Boris Suchik, which is a researcher at Joseph Stefan Institute Center for Energy Efficiency, and is the leader and energy management training following the URAM program. So thank you also for being with us. Dr. Oscar Lazar is the managing director of Innovalia. He has a long experience in the ICT field and is leading research and product development activities of Innovalia for smart cities and factories of the future. So thank you very much. Dr. Andrea Rosa Colar, which is the Director of Information Technology for the Regional Government of Madeira, specialized in international law and intellectual property. Thank you also. And last but not least, Dr. Nuno Mateus, which is Project Manager and Research Engineer at EDP New, which is the research unit of EDP, our national DSO in the mainland. Specialized in energy and sustainable development. So also thank you very much for being with us. So, dear colleagues, pathways for sustainability in the verge of digital transformation. Sustainability comes in very different ways, and on this panel, as I told you, we have a variety of potential different visions around the merging of digital and sustainability. As you can see, we go from heritage to energy, going through manufacturing and informatics. I would like to start from the point of view of research. And from the point of view of research, I would ask Dr. Boris about the role of research centers in the pathway to sustainability, particularly their role on digital simulation and representation of energy and industrial processes. So basically, what is the role of digital representing the real world?
Thank you very much for the question. I like it a lot because I think now we are living in a world when nobody's willing to try something new. So the role of digital transformation or simulation and emulation of potential future situation is really, really important because it helps decision makers to make a decision. Now, as probably that's the same situation in your country too. In my country, everybody is afraid of taking new decisions because when you do something, there is a possibility that you will make a mistake. The research organizations with the digital twins and real simulation of actual situation can help decision makers to make the right decision. They can also help potential end users which are willing to test new things to make a decision. When you show somebody directly, okay, this will be the benefit of this is potential future situation, and you can react on it. That I think it's vitally important.
So you mean we are acting like a decision support system for decision makers?
Something like that. Something like that. As I said, now, for instance, for the governmental structure is also very, very important because at the level of government with the COVID crisis, every time they are saying us next 14 days is crucial. I think in your country was the same. Next 14 days will be crucial. But my organization were capable to do the simulations of potential future situations, and we were capable to show what will be the numbers after 14 days. At the beginning, nobody was listening to us. At the end, everybody was asking us, okay, how that prediction engine is actually functioning? What are you doing? What we have done, we have a small nuclear reactor at our site. testing research reactor, we apply the same equations in how to predict the spread of pandemic, and the equations were working.
Yeah, in the beginning, no one believed scientists. Only later they will realize that. Okay, thank you very much. And I would like now to move from the research vision to the vision of a DSO. And I would ask Engineer Francisco Taboada, because DSOs are engaged in delivering energy in a sustainable way, as all of us, basically. So what I would like to ask is, what is the role of the electricity of Madeira linking the digital with the energy sector, particularly when we think about the digital assets like smart metering, data centers, or even renewable energies?
Thank you. I would like to thank again to Professor João Martins and Unionova for the invitation. And that's crucial in these times we go on. And the things we have just heard is a real thing. No, the distribution of the production of electricity, everybody in some time will produce some electricity for his own home and also to inject on the grid. So we will have a different situation than we have now. In our dispatching center, we have 50 power production places, hydro, solar, wind, and we dispatch each of that sources. If we have wind, we put wind. If we have water, we put hydro. But in future, we will have hundreds and hundreds of places having production. So we have to preview with some time before. If there is a lot of sun, we are waiting for a lot of little production coming in. And so this type of dispatching is a new challenge. On the other hand, and we have one of the projects I spoke this morning is just that. On PRR, we have a project for digitalization of all the network till point of the transformation points, not only in substations and in the production places we have now. The other project we have, and you have told, is just the digitalization of consumers, and we are putting now at home of each of our customers intelligent contract. Porto Santo Island, the lead leader of our archipelago, is totally with installed counters. We have installed 4,500 counters. We are now, we have just bought 70,000 counters for Madeira, and we are starting now that process that we hope we have complete in 2025. This will be very helpful also for people with a smartphone application to see at this moment what is happening, how if they are using well the electricity, and if they must put some machine working at 8 in the evening or 8 in the morning, and also to make a dispatching of his own consumption.
Yeah. Yes, so I would say it is even very important that merging that you do with the digital smart metering and the control of the grid with, for example, what Dr. Boris is doing by modeling not only the prediction of the weather, as a prediction of the load of the consumers, and having that on their hand is very helpful to also to not only for them but for the electricity of Madeira to understand what their behavior in order to anticipate, and being an island even more important.
Yes, for sure, that's important.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so energy is indeed very important, as we just have seen. We cannot live without energy. Some of us would say unfortunate, but we cannot, so we have to live with energy. And energy is also essential for industry. So, Oscar, how is the industry sector dealing with sustainability, not only on energy, but also on the digital, also in terms of circularity and Green Deal? So how these things, this triangle, I would say, evolves in the industry sector?
I think actually you are touching one of the hot topics of the moment.
And that's why you are here.
No, because I think the industry itself is actually starting to look for new parameters in terms of how to deliver new production lines. Actually, just a very recent example, automotive groups like Volkswagen or BMW, now they are trying to procure new production lines for new type of automobiles. And then in this procurement is not any longer only about performance and cost, but the CO2 footprint, the energy consumption of those production lines are becoming more and more critical. I mean, we are now probably experiencing as consumers the impact of the energy crisis across Europe, but for industry is a matter of competitiveness. And this really affects jobs and the type of work that they can do. But if we look beyond the production itself, what we realize is that we also have to face a scarcity of raw materials. When we look into this transformation towards electrification of the transport with electric vehicles, autonomous and electric vessels, these type of products that will impose very strong constraints in delivery of new battery packs and these type of products. And in this particular area of circularity and this type of very strategic products is where industry is actually looking about the issue of data sharing. So around these products and the circularity itself, there is this emergence of the concept of digital product passport that is actually creating this footprint of the product from the moment that it is designed till the moment that we have to dismantle or recover materials from the original products. And with things that are so strategic like batteries, we are going to start producing thousands, if not millions, of those batteries over a long period of time. And it is really crucial at this point of time we think about recovery. If we put all these new products without really addressing the circularity dimension, without really dimensioning how the digital footprint should cover the life cycle of the whole product, maybe when we try to recover, to reuse or recycle, at the end of life, this type of products is already too late. So I think it's a big challenge, but also a big opportunity for digital in circularity and Green Deal.
But Oscar, sorry for the question, but let me look at the other side of the coin. When you discuss or say that, okay, we will digitalize more factories and production, what about people? We need less people. So this is the other side of the coin. So as a higher expert on ICT and intelligent factories and so on, how do you see this?
Well, probably I think if you would have asked this same question a couple of years ago, people would have been even more scared about the change. I think we are gradually understanding that people will be needed. Probably more people will be needed, but probably what we are talking about is the skills, the capacities that these people and the type of roles that these people will play in the factory. So probably there will be a change in the role that people will play in these highly automated, assisted or augmented factories by application of AI. But I normally, when someone asks me about this question, I refer to a very well-known article that was talking about the same situation when we had the industrial revolution. And then people were actually thinking, okay, with industrial revolution, people will disappear, jobs will be destroyed. Actually, jobs are not destroyed. They are transformed, and in many cases, the people need to be re-skilled or upskilled in new capacities. So I think we will see transformation as well on the capacities of the people, but I'm not so sure that we will see a big cut of the role of the people in factories.
So what you mean basically is we are in the edge of reskilling and retraining. So it's not a question of putting them out, but
we are already. I mean, we already experienced this when we introduced CNC in the machines. That was 40 years ago. It's not that back. It's not that long in the past. And before, well, now for everyone to use a Siemens CNC to machine a very complex part seems trivial. But 20, 30 years ago, that was not the general practice. And now people is not so much focusing on one particular task, but now trying to excel in how to program, how to optimize these programming capabilities of the machine. And at least in the vision of the autonomous factory that we were discussing yesterday, yes. I think the target at the moment is not a factory with one dog and one person, and then making sure, and you need a dog to make sure that the person doesn't get into the factory. I don't think that is the vision that we are trying to build.
It depends on the dog, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. And I just take this opportunity to make the attention of the audience. Tomorrow we'll have one panel discussion on reskilling and training with the views from industry and the academia. That could be also very interesting. And now, taking this, Dr. Andrea, taking this motto as the person and being holding responsibilities in Madeira government, I would like to have your opinion on how or how.
Okay, thank you João. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizers for this word human-centric vision in a digital society, because it's exactly that. So I was given the responsibility of transforming digitally a whole island. Okay, so Madeira island. Okay, so my first thing and why I talk about human-centric and why we're talking about people is that I try to explain to the government and what is a digital transformation, what are we doing in Madeira. And the first thing that I've done was I like keeping things simple. So the best way that I could explain my vision of a digital transformation was through a drawing. I'm a lawyer by profession, but I've worked many years with engineers and innovation and new technologies. So I know when to draw, because when we talk a lot with engineers, we need to draw. So what I've done, I built a mandala, and I call it my mandala of digital transformation. So as all mandalas, I started with the nucleus, and the center of it all is humanity. So it's not technology, it's humanity, because everything that we're going to build from there for this digital transformation has to do with humans, okay? Has to do with the evolution of humankind. So in the center of it all is humanity. The second part, so if you look at it like a flower, so it's the center, and the first petal, which is the most important thing, was infrastructures. So my focus here in Madeira when I arrived here 2 years ago, was actually to make sure that the infrastructures are ready and that we are building the infrastructures that will support all this digital transformation. So we started with the cables, okay, with the submarine cables, changing into smart cables. We try to hook up a few more cables. We are in this beautiful location of Atlantic Sea where we have cables that come from America to Africa to Europe. So we are in a very good location to get access to all these cables and all this information that the cables can provide, being smart submarine cables. Data centers as well, very, very important to have data storage, okay, and protected and secure data storage. 5G, we've signed, one of the first things that I've done when I arrived here is sign a protocol to be the first 5G island, okay? It's important because if you are thinking about all these new technologies that people talk about, and we're talking about metaverses and artificial intelligence and virtual reality, creating a digital twin, yes, very good, but you need to have the infrastructures to be able to support all that. So 5G was one of the first things that we've done here. Fiber optic as well, fiber optic in all the island. We've signed a deal of 20 years to make sure that there's fiber optic in all the islands. This was the first thing. It was infrastructures. The second thing that I focused on was the tools. Okay, was the equipment. What kind of equipment do we need? If we have the infrastructures ready, what kind of equipment do we need? We cannot work with computers that are from 1980 or 1990. I call it dinosaurs. Some of the things that I find here, it's amazing. I'm going to open a museum, about a technology museum. And so all that had to be, I had to focus on all the equipment, on new equipment, new tools, software and hardware, which enable us to work these infrastructures to the full potential. The third one was education. So digital literacy is still a problem, okay? And it's a problem not just here, but in everywhere that I've been. And we have an aging society. And the aging society is not used to dealing with all these new technologies, okay? So we have to be very clear and have to be very simple the way that we introduce these new technologies. So it has to be very intuitive, have to be very easy, and the access has to be very light, okay? And have to be accessible at a touch. If it's for a baby, babies already, I think they're born to this new world of digital transformation. They already expect a touch screen on everything. The elderly, no. So we need to focus on digital literacy, and education is key. So if you're talking about tomorrow with universities and technical institutions, that is very important. Education is the key. The fourth one is interoperability. So very, very important that all these systems, all these infrastructures, this equipment, this software, the people that know how to use these tools, that they interact, they connect. And when I'm talking about connectivity, interoperability, I'm not talking just about the equipment, the machines. I'm talking about humans. I'm talking about collaboration, because information is the key in all this. And the only thing that this digital transformation will work and be successful is with data, okay? It's sharing data. The problem with data is not the sharing of it, is how we use it, okay? And what we're going to use and how we're going to use it. So that comes to the fifth point. It's only 5 petals. This is a very simple mandala, which is cybersecurity and privacy. So if we're going to have all this data going around, it's very important that it's, we deal with the GDPR, now we have the new act, Digital Services Act for criminality, that comes from physical world to the internet world. That's very important, because when we think of digital, there's all these physical problems that come with it, that are transferred as well. So this transformation doesn't eliminate those problems, actually digitalizes those problems. And it's very important. And in all these aspects, we are dealing a lot, like Engineer Taboada was saying. We are taking in consideration as a principal focus sustainability. Why? Because when I'm talking about humankind being in the middle, we live in an ecosystem, and for the first time in the world, we are aware now, and through digitalization, we have the tools now to receive information, to communicate with our ecosystem, from the fridge that tells us, the electricity that we are using, the energy that we are using, from our oceans, what's happening underneath our oceans, to the land, what's happening with our trees, what's happening to deforestation. And all this information, it's what's going to make us the decision makers. And this is very important as well for investigation, because it's giving us the tools for the first time to listen to our ecosystem. And it's very important. What are we going to do? We listen. We have the tools now to listen to what our ecosystem, what our environment is telling us. What are we going to do with that? How are we going to be better decision makers? From the past, we've learned with things. We no longer need to wait 20 years to look at the Amazon and say, oh, well, 20 years ago we had these trees. Now deforestation. We're killing the Amazon. We don't need to wait 20 years. The digital transformation now is giving us the tools to have this in real time, to have this information in real time. And it's very important to know. We're not fortune tellers, but we have a predictive information now. We can predict the future. with information that we receive in real life. So that's the part of sustainability. That's the part that we can make better decisions and think about the future, think about our survival as a humankind through digitalization.
You said in your 5-point mandala two things that catch my attention. One, I cannot resist to ask, is it infrastructure the reason Madeira has so many digital nomads now here?
Well, they got attracted to us not just because of the infrastructures, for sure.
But without it,
the sea, the nature, the ocean also had something to do with it, I believe. But it was important for the digital nomads. Yes, it was a very important project, especially in a time where the pandemic was killing the tourism, of course. And was very important to open the doors to the digital nomads. We saw an opportunity there, and when they've arrived, they were impressed that we had those infrastructures. So that gave us as well more motivation to expand the infrastructure and say, well, okay, this is working. Okay, we can do a lot with this. And yes, was one thing that was attractive. Madeira is super attractive, so there's so many things to come to Madeira for.
Yeah, but you should consider that without infrastructure, they will not be here, for sure.
That's for sure, that's for sure. We need something, the computer needs to work.
At least for so long. Okay, thank you very much. The other thing, probably I would pass the word to Nuno now. The other thing you said is about people, and of course, people are in the center, and the user-centered concept is not new, but now it has a completely new meaning, and a true meaning, I would say. And Nuno, I know that EDP-NEW is very active in the field of energy communities, for example, one of the fields. And I would like your comment on the role of the citizens, and not only citizens, but let's say aggregated citizens in the energy communities as a pathway to sustainability.
Yeah, thanks for the question, João. As we already seen, I think we are doing the transition. For the transition, all the forces are needed. So, of course, all the users should contribute on their way to the energy transition that we are doing. In the case of energy communities, I think we activities from the past, we realized that only promoting new technologies by itself, just saying that they are good, you will save money, there are no transition, no transformation. So we need to engage all the persons related to what we are doing, not only the users, the consumers, the DSO, the TSO. I think everyone should be involved in this transformation, and that's why not only about the energy communities, but also in the smart buildings projects that we are carried out. We are bringing the users to the center, because we need to develop products, we need to develop new things for being used by the person. So without an active participation on their side, I think it would be impossible to make it quicker and to make it easy. So I think it's a requirement for what we aim.
Yeah, but I have the $1 million question for you, which is, okay, we are doing a lot of research. We are working on a lot of projects with energy communities, with engagement, and so on. But let's talk about the average guy on the street, of the environment and the sustainability. But I would look aside and say, no, it's not my backyard, so it's the other's backyard. So how a DSO or how our project, European projects, can, let's say, move from the testing concept to get into the real person and say, look, you probably are not getting too much money alone, but if you are aggregated with your neighbor, then you have more impact on the environment. So how can we actually motivate them and engage them? Because let me just finish this, and then you can answer. I see that an energy community is more than what we have now. What we have now is just a pure commercial issue about energy community. So we aggregate to pay less energy. So my vision of an energy community is larger than that. Engagement is actually the people in the community doing something. So how do you see all of this?
I think we have a long pathway to achieve that for sure. I think, and not only about the energy, but also in the flexibility market, we have the same potential and the same hope. I think. What we are facing in the projects, I think that we are trying to prove a concept and to demonstrate that what we aim, what we are trying to develop as a concept could be a reality. And that is a first challenge, I would say, that the majority of the projects that are here today revealed that is a barrier, I would say, not only for us, but also for the European Commission. So I would say that that is the first step. Then we need to show, to demonstrate that there are some value there. And there are two types of, I would call it, prosumers in this context. The ones that are really engaged with this kind of communities by the sustainability aspects. And that I think will be an easy engagement process because they are used to do that by free. But we have the other majority of persons that are not engaged on sustainability or not so worried about that, and we need to demonstrate and to prove that there are also some earnings from all these communities. So all the projects that we have seen here have this role to demonstrate, to show that they could be an active part of the system and to make this energy transition, this digital transition work. We need all together working for the same objective, and I think there are a big pathway between what we have now and the final step, and I would say that one thing that supports this is that all the projects are dealing with engagement of the users, are trying new gamification concepts to try to engage and bring the users to the systems. And even with all of that, I think it's in fact 1,000 euro, 1 million euro question because there are no reply at all for now. But I can also tell you that our experience at TDP, more from the commercial side, what the users, the best way to sell a solution, a service, something like that, is bring it with the product that the persons would like to have in their house. So, for example, all these smart algorithms and so on could be sold not like energy service, but when you are selling a PV system, when you are selling a battery, you could have a differentiated smart system embedded in the battery in the PV system that could have some added value. And this is probably the easiest way to have additional earnings to demonstrate that persons could have savings engaged with sustainability with no additional efforts on their side.
Yeah. So, thank you. I was not expecting an answer, of course, because otherwise I wouldn't make the question. But I would say that this pathway to sustainability has to be faster than the pathway of climate change. So, that we have to act on the derivative here. So, thank you very much. So, Dr. Marinos, last but not least, for the moment. After listening to all our colleagues, and I know you are an ICT expert, although working on cultural heritage, do you see this relation with the cultural heritage and the digital? And address, if you may, the dangers or the advantages of the digital over cultural heritage.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much, Joao, for having me here in this panel. I'm reading the title of the summit here, Digital Transformation. yeah, to have a transformation. We are moving from one point to the second. So from the analog to the digital and towards the future development. Now, the analog is the past, is the cultural heritage. And if we digitize that, you know what we have? The biggest ever in the world, big, complex data structures. The biggest complex knowledge available in the world. In the digital transformation, this is what is happening with all the smart, I would say intelligent in the meantime, browsers. When we need something, we're going and asking them, please advise. And they are giving us a list in different forms of information and data, in the form of text, in the form of image, in the form of, and so on, multimedia and so on, videos and so on. So just to give you an impression, imagine that all the libraries of the world are digitized, fully digitized. Imagine that all the archives, Digital Library of Madeira, Digital Archive of Madeira, the museums of Madeira, the galleries of Madeira, but not only of Madeira, of the entire world. And you have, within a couple of seconds, access to all this data, all this information, whatever you want to ask. Is it going to be a better advice than that? To get an answer from the past, which means to learn how to improve energy consumption or climate change and so on. If we go to the past, 2,500 years ago, on the time of the Hellenistic time period, on the time even when democracy was invented, we will really find out what the democracy means and not what it is today. So digital transformation is moving back to improve, to move forward and improve the future, the next generations, make it better. We heard about efficiency, but efficiency in different ways, energy efficiency. I would say life, yeah, human, adult, human scientists. It's the entire island as such. You will be able to offer to 1 million of immigrants, your people from your island, access to the what? Information of their roots. There isn't anything better than that. That's the best present that you can do for your kids, for the generations to come. But also the people who are going to come to visit you here to know what? The value of Madeira, not only the value of the sun and the sea, but also of your story and what happened here years ago. Exactly, and not only the tangible, but also the intangible. And imagine now that when we go tonight to the reception at the municipality, we walk, we pass a couple of monuments, and then suddenly you hear artificial intelligence, smart cities and smart intelligent systems. A monument is talking. Hey, foreigner, listen. Here, stop for a while and listen. Here I am. Here happened something important. You need to know it. But that time is going to come because the robots started talking. Yeah, welcoming. I just only called the IBM invention, one of the first avatars, yeah, in the world, assisting on a real time in an operation hall, surgery hall, medical doctors, yeah, giving them advice. And the knowledge is coming from where? From the thousands and millions of publications available and the reports of other thousands of medical doctors. So these kind of machines are going to be available to assist you, to assist even policymakers, to assist smart cities, to transform to intelligent cities. But there is one risk. If and in case the computer crash, the cloud crash, then what's the next available solution for Madeira? Yeah? And for me as a tourist here. And when the monument is not able to talk, then I'm back again in a situation like the COVID, huh? Or even when we had the financial crash, and so on and so on. So, lesson learned from the past, number one. Second, high risk. ICT is the worst ever, like fire, in the ancient Greek mythology, the worst ever invented tool, can destroy us also, not only help and support us. So if we don't take it under control, the day will come. Artificial intelligence is one. But also, when tomorrow morning, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook declares bankruptcy, what you are going to do with your smart device? It's not anymore smart. It's just only, yeah, it was smart.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you for that very optimistic vision of
but
digital transformation.
That's how we move.
I would like now, we have still a couple of minutes. I don't want to monopolize the questions, and I would like to give the floor to the audience to ask questions, comments to our distinguished panelists. Anyone? Okay. I see Rui has the hand raised.
Yes, good afternoon. I have a question for...
Just introduce yourselves before speaking so
yes,
that we know.
my name is revolves. I'm a professor at Nova University of Lisbon. I have a question for engineer Francisco Taboada, which is a reference in this area of energy. So I'm going to ask you a simple question. If you had only a single action to take tomorrow regarding digitalization, what would you do? A single action.
Tricky question.
So the most important action, let's say.
Well, in these current times, I will improve the security of our cyber segment because we have two critical services, the service to the customers. So we have the data from the people, and today we have big responsibilities because we store that information, and we have a problem that may become worse, that is the telecommand and the dispatching of the producing places. So if we have some problem with any of the production centers, like Central de Vitoria, that is the biggest thermal power plants, or other big central, we will have a crash in the energy, and at the end, maybe a hacker, as they enter in a bank system, as they enter in a TAP system, or some places where they have been in the last months, if they enter in the operation part of an electricity utility, it will be a big disaster. So if I had to choose one, was to reinforce that area of cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments from the audience? Come on, I don't believe. You don't have an opinion about digital transformation. Okay, cannot force people. I forgot my pistol on the room, so I cannot force you to make questions. But I would do the following. Is any one of you have a final comment that wish to make before ending? Yes, please.
I just wanted to say one more thing. It's when we're talking about digital transformation, people think that we're going to eliminate everything that's been happening until now. History is here, history makes it's part of us, okay? So when we transform things, okay, we are going to give new opportunities and new options in a digital world that we don't have in the physical world. But if anything goes wrong, obviously, we still have the backup of the physical world. We're just giving it another level. So for me, it's an evolution.
Thank you. Yes, Boris, please.
Yeah, I would like to comment the things that I've heard here. I was the first speaking, and then I've heard many interesting things. The thing that I liked very much, 10 days ago I was in Cyprus, and I was sitting with my friend in Nicosia and discussing about the things that, we were sitting nearby the basketball court, and nobody was playing basketball. When I was a kid, I was outside and playing basketball, football with my friends. Now they are digitalized, fully digitalized, and we have to re-digitalize them. How we will do it? Me as a father, I always like to know where my kids are. So new systems, a bit not so smart but cognitive, that will help me how to find a way where are my kids, and also in energy communities, we have to start again getting around with our neighbors. When I was a kid, I knew everybody. I don't know now everybody in my building. We were not closing the doors at my home.
You have to come to Madeira because here everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, but we were not closing the doors. Now when I'm going to my workplace, I close the door like my father was closing the doors when we were going on a vacation. And those things will have to change. And that is the way how energy community will cooperate. Yeah. Positive jealousy between neighborhoods. We played football one neighborhood against other. And I think that's the way how it will work in the future. It will probably not work so easy, but at the end, if we want to work a positive jealousy, competition between neighborhoods, my energy community is better than the one in Cyprus, better than the one in Madeira. You got some digital nomads. We will do something to get them in our country. That's the way how it can work.
Yeah, that's a positive statement. Anyone more? Or, hey, Marinos, if you are going to make a final statement, make it short.
In the ancient time, it was the Library of Alexandria. That was where all the knowledge was available. And people who were not able to write went there, and the library had free of charge services. They had people who were able to write, secretaries, okay? And people started explaining what? Sometimes their memories, and now I'm coming to give a similar answer to this what you asked. If we have a chance to use the tool of ICT now, at least record your memories, those which exist now. Have you managed to interview your parents? Yeah? To tell you their stories, what they remember and what they missed or what they achieved, what they were, so that you will be able to tell that to your kids.
Yeah, that's the digital, intangible
so
culture.
This digital transformation can help and support you a lot, and I think that belongs to our values. Digital transformation has also another one very big disadvantage. It's so fast. It's, the speed which exists there, which cannot afford as humans. We forget a lot of things. We are used, as you say.
And, I have to comment this.
What to say? What to say?
No,
yes.
Wait.
It's a long discussion.
Let me put some order here.
Nevertheless.
No, Marino, sorry. The point is, we have been invited for the reception in the City Hall, and should be there at 7. And to the City Hall, it's well, we have to. You are already changed. We are not. for much as I regret, I have to end this panel here. I wouldn't say as a recap that we have a bright future ahead, but we have to be careful with the future because, as Marinos was saying, the future is changing so fast that we may be overcome by these fast changes. So we have to be on the alert, and we have to regain our friends, our energy communities as a friend, as a cooperative option, and not as a competitive one. We also have to think about those Mandala 5 points that the doctor was mentioned, and cybersecurity also is quite important. So from my side, I would like to thank you very much, the 6 of you, for being here. Thank you for the patience to listen to this. I think we all get today much more enlightened and positive thinking. And don't forget to be at 7 or 5 minutes before 7 sharp in the City Hall for the reception. So thank you again very much.